Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Calgary Stampeders game day video post. We're now in week 20 in the 2025 CFL Regular season, and this will be the second last week of the regular season in 2025, and playoff picture is starting to get a little clearer, but we are not knowing all the dates just yet. But I'm recording this actually on the morning of game day on Saturday, October the 18th, as the Calgary Stampeders were actually finally back at home. They might be forgiven that we wear red jerseys. Yeah, the Calgary Stampeders are back home after literally being on the road for a month for 3 straight games, including me making the trip out to Montreal 3 weeks ago. But Calgary is home for the final time of the 2025 CFL regular season, as they will be hosting the Toronto Argonauts via 5 p.m. Mountain kickoff, and one team still has something to play for, while the other could still play spoiler, as the Calgary Stampeders are third in the West Division with a 9-7 record. Actually, I did put in a thumbnail thinking when they're in, well, how things transpired last night. The Calgary Stampeders will be going to the playoffs this season after missing it last year with the win against the BC Lions. They eliminated the Edmonton Elks from playoff contention, as well as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So we have our 6 teams that will make the playoffs. We'll need a West crossover because, Calgary is 9-7, third in the West Division, while the Toronto Argonauts, they are 5-12 and third in the East Division. However, Winnipeg, who right now is currently fourth in the West Division with a 9-8 record, so they clearly have a much greater record to cross over potentially and be the third place East team. So right now we know that the Saskatchewan Roughriders will be hosting the West Final, but there's still potential that the Calgary Stampeders may host the West Semifinal 2 weeks today. Still going to need to win outright and have the BC Lions lose their last game of the season for the season series. So Calgary still has something to play for, and the fact that finally we got a win last week with a 37-20 victory over the Hamilton Tiger-Cats in Hamilton. I'm going to say it was a complete effort in terms of the running game. Defense played strong, and we just took advantage of a flat Hamilton Tiger-Cats team, and Calgary was on a 4-game losing streak before last week, so I am feeling a little better about the team now with that win last week, and not too many major changes in the lineup. Still got a feel for Joshua Coker of how he got hurt last week in the game in Hamilton. Well, the Toronto Argonauts, they are 5-12. This is their final game of this season as defending Grey Cup champions, and not going to make the playoffs, so we're going to have a new champion this season. They could still potentially play spoiler, because if the Calgary Stampeders lose this game, then essentially we're clinched third in the West Division. We got the season series over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but Calgary would be solidified that they'll be on the road for the playoffs throughout. It'd be a matter of will they stay in the West or cross over to the East, but Toronto could still play spoiler for their final game of the regular season. I know that they shut down Nick Arbuckle for quarterback, and Jared Dagey has been playing the last few weeks. He has the ability to put up big yards, but Toronto, they don't have it this season, and Chad Kelly hasn't returned to the lineup, and got to wonder both is his health and extra baggage if he's ever going to play in the CFL again, but I still think Toronto could be dangerous as they got nothing to play for other than pride and tends to be spoiler. So I'm going to still say this is a big game for the Calgary Stampeders in terms of just getting back on track. After that big win on Labor Day, they went on a 4-game losing streak and got back on track last week. But I'm going to say Calgary did win that big one against Toronto, going all the way back to week 2 back in June. So if they can duplicate that, I think we should be able to come out victorious and then do a little scoreboard watching next week to see if we can still potentially keep our playoff hopes alive for hosting the West semifinal. The Stampeders are in the playoffs. Won't be able to catch Saskatchewan to be first in the West Division. And actually, that's the only thing that's certain, because you got BC's in, Calgary's in, Winnipeg's in, all in the West. And out east, you got the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Montreal Alouettes who are going to the playoffs. So you have to be determined what could be transpired this week is who will be hosting said East final on Saturday, November the 8th. So that's pretty much what I have for the Calgary Stampeders as we are in the playoffs. So it'll be more satisfying to say when we're in, but I'm going to still say we need this win just to get some good vibes going heading into the playoffs, and still hoping to keep the eyes on hosting the West semifinal. I still felt that game a couple weeks ago that we lost in BC that solidified the season series and the record, that I still think it's more likely BC will be hosting the West semifinal until the math doesn't work. I wouldn't mind, going out to a playoff game 2 weeks from now, because Calgary has not hosted a playoff game since 2019, and I'm going to still say, sorry I haven't been able to make as many games this year, just between, there was that bad weather game, scheduling conflicts, and, I had a few games that I was feeling a little under the weather. I made it up a little by heading to Montreal, but even maybe me being middle-aged as a fan, maybe I've lost a step, but, if this is the final time I'll be in the stands this season. It was a great abbreviated season when I have been in the stands, but we'll see next season, as we are hosting the Great Cup next season, and I always going to have that annual conversation in terms of is this the year that I finally move, because I've been in the same spot for 28 seasons, but I'm going to have to think it's getting a little more difficult to climb up that high in the stands, and it'd be nice to maybe sit a little closer, especially with the field changes coming in a couple years. So, this is my game day post for the Calgary Stampeders and Toronto Argonauts. After this week, the final game of the regular season, Calgary finishes off the season up in Edmonton next Friday, and we'll see how that game plays out depending on what happens this week. But we know the Edmonton Elks, they are eliminated from playoffs, but I think they're slowly going in the right direction, because they are 7-10, and even the 5th place team in the West Division is still better than the 3rd place team in the East Division. And former special teams coordinator Mark Killam, who was the head coach of the Elks, now seemed to have I got a good thing going. So maybe the Battle of Alberta, it's always going to be there, but in terms of jockeying for playoff position, it'd be nice to have those days back as well. So close out and say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I have my other social media down in the description below, and still got to get my editing done with my videos from my Montreal trip, and hopefully one of these times I can finally catch up with some other videos that I've been meaning to record, but people are busy and life happens, and occasionally when you spend all your time and energy at work, other things need to get done in between the little time you have. So I'm still going to say thanks for watching, and go Stamps go.